Hello family, before we start this intriguing story, we would like you to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so that you will be notified once we drop new story. Also comment the time you are watching this and country you are watching from. Have you heard? Chioma says she's the king's favorite woman now. The village square was alive with whispers and side eyes. Women carrying baskets paused to nudge each other. Men resting under the big Iroko tree laughed quietly. The name Chioma floated from mouth to mouth like wildfire. Chioma strutted through the village in a sparkling yellow dress that shimmered like the morning sun. Her heels clicked against the red earth, disturbing chickens and dust alike. Beside her, Stella swayed her hips with confidence, wearing a tight-fitting gown and dark glasses, in the early morning sun. Do you know who you're talking to? Chioma barked at Mama Nkechi, the vegetable seller, when asked for payment. The king said I should take anything I want, she added, waving her hand as if brushing away nonsense. And me, Stella chimed in, picking the biggest yam from the pile. My man is richer than your dreams. His name is Godwin. He owns half of Enugu. Mama Nkechi blinked. Godwin. The one with a wife and 4 children. Stella scoffed. Don't be jealous. But behind them, laughter erupted. Village champions, someone called. The name stuck. The villagers grinned. That was exactly what they were. That evening, Chioma and Stella sat under the bamboo roof of the only bar in the village. 3 bottles of palm wine later, they still hadn't paid. The king will handle it, Chioma said with a smug smile. The bar owner frowned. You've said that for 2 weeks. The king hasn't come. Just then, Chioma's eyes lit up as Simeon, the king's son, walked past. Stella leaned in, whispering, I think he looked at me. No, Chioma hissed, he looked at me. Later that week, Chioma found herself invited to the palace. The king welcomed her with polite distance. I must speak to my wives first, he said gently. But when Simeon entered the room, his gaze lingered longer than necessary. Meanwhile, Stella's relationship with Godwin began to crumble. He stopped picking her calls. When she finally reached him, he sounded irritated. You're becoming too demanding, Stella. I have a real family to think about. Back at the village square, Stella watched from a distance as Chioma laughed with Simeon near the palace gates. She thinks she's winning, Stella muttered. But Chioma had no idea that Stella had begun secretly plotting her way into Simeon's heart too. That night, as Chioma lay on her bed, she received a strange message from an unknown number. Be careful. He's not who you think he is. Chioma stared at her phone screen for minutes, her heart pounding. Be careful. He's not who you think he is. Who sent it? What did they mean? She replied instantly, Who are you? No response. She didn't sleep that night. The message haunted her thoughts like a shadow, trailing every sweet word Simeon had ever said. By morning, Chioma had made up her mind she would test him. On the other side of the village, Stella stood outside Godwin's car, arms folded, eyes burning. You promised me, Godwin. You said you would marry me. Inside the car, Godwin looked over his sunglasses with irritation. I told you not to cause a scene. You used me, she hissed. I gave you what I could. Don't be greedy, Stella. As he drove off, villagers peeked through their windows. One woman whispered, She don't suffer. Stella's lips trembled, but not from sadness, from rage. If Chioma can find her way to the top, so can I. At the palace, Simeon took Chioma on a walk through the garden, his voice soft, his smile warm. I see a future with you, Chioma, he said. She smiled, but her eyes searched his face for any hint of truth. Do your parents know you're saying this? He paused. They will. Soon. Meanwhile, Stella arrived at the palace gates under the disguise of delivering plantain to the royal cooks. As she stepped into the compound, she caught sight of Simeon and Chioma laughing together near the royal pond. A storm gathered in her chest. That evening, Stella followed Simeon to the local shrine, keeping her distance. She wasn't the only one hiding in the trees. Simeon knelt before the chief priest. You must act fast, the priest warned him. Your father grows weak. You must be crowned before your brother returns. I will do what I must, Simeon replied. Even if it means spilling blood. Twist hook, Stella gasped, loud enough for Simeon to hear. She ran. The next morning, Stella sat in her room, hands trembling. Not because of what she saw, but because of what she felt: nausea, dizziness, aching limbs. The test kit didn't lie. She was pregnant. Godwin's baby. She sent him a message: "We need to talk. It's important." His reply: "Handle it. I have nothing more to give you." She stared blankly. Her head spun. Then something inside her snapped. Chioma met Simeon at their usual spot. This time, his mood was darker. "I need your help," he said, gripping her hand tightly. "If you love me, you do it." "What do you mean?" "I need you to get close to my father. Poison him. Slowly. No one will suspect you. You're just a friend of the palace." Her heart stopped. He continued, "You and I will rule. I'll make you queen." Suspense hook. Chioma smiled, but behind that smile was fear. She left the palace without answering, and ran into Stella at the market. They locked eyes. For a second, both women could feel the storm coming. The market buzzed with noise, clanging pots, haggling voices, and goat bleats, but the air shifted when Chioma and Stella locked eyes across the yam store. "You look tired," Stella said, her voice coated with sarcasm. Chioma didn't flinch. "Better tired than washed up." The villagers noticed. A small crowd started gathering, pretending to pick vegetables while eavesdropping. "What happened, Stella? Godwin finally stopped feeding you lies. And you? Still begging for the prince's crumbs." Their insults were sharp, but what lay beneath was deeper: heartbreak, betrayal, and quiet desperation. That evening, Stella waited near the bushes outside Godwin's house. Her hand rested on her belly as she whispered, "He must know." Godwin's car finally pulled in. She rushed to him, tears in her eyes. "I'm pregnant, Godwin." "It's yours." Godwin froze. "You're lying. I took 3 tests. You said you loved me. You said you..." His slap was sudden, brutal. She stumbled back, holding her cheek, stunned. Godwin's voice was cold. "I warned you not to ruin my life. Get rid of it." She fell to her knees, gasping in pain. Before she could speak, he turned and drove off. Her scream pierced the night, a cry no one came to answer. Stella woke up in a pool of blood. The next hours blurred, rushing to the local nurse, whispered diagnoses, fainting spells. By sunrise, it was gone. The baby was gone. She lay on the bed, staring at the cracked ceiling, feeling emptier than ever. Only one name crossed her mind now: Chioma. Not out of hatred, but because she was the only one who would understand. Chioma sat with her back against the door, shaking. She had considered it Simeon's plan. Not because she wanted the king dead, but because for the first time in her life, someone made her feel powerful. Seen. But tonight, something felt off. Simeon was changing. He had grown impatient. "Why are you stalling?" he snapped when she said she hadn't gotten close enough to the king yet. "You're sounding like a madman," she whispered. He grabbed her by the wrist. "Do it. Or I'll find someone who will." That was the moment Chioma knew he never loved her. She was just a piece on his board. 3 days later, palace guards stormed Chioma's home in the middle of the night. "You are under arrest for treason and attempted murder of His Royal Highness." "What?" she cried, dragged out in her night wrapper. "I didn't do anything. I swear." In the distance, behind the guards, stood Simeon, watching. Unmoved. Chioma's voice broke. "Simeon, please. Tell them." He turned away without a word. The villagers peeked from windows and doorways, gasping as the self-proclaimed king's woman was taken away like a criminal. Meanwhile, In a quiet part of the village, Richard, Chioma's ex-husband, sat in his small compound with a woman beside him, Anita. She offered him tea and a soft smile. Daniel, their son, ran into the yard, laughing, holding a wooden toy Anita carved for him. For the first time in years, peace had returned to Richard's home. "I'm proud of you, Papa," Daniel whispered that night. "You're smiling again." Richard held back tears. He never thought he'd find love again after Chioma. One rainy morning, a thin figure knocked on Richard's gate. It was Stella, drenched, shivering, eyes swollen from crying. "Daddy," she whispered. Richard stood frozen. "I'm sorry. I was foolish. I lost everything." He didn't speak for a long time. Then he opened the gate and wrapped her in a hug. "No more pain," he said. "But you must let go of the past." A month passed. Chioma, now released from the palace prison thanks to a witness who testified in her favor, returned to the village, broken, humbled. She had nothing, no home, no lover, no title. But waiting at Richard's compound was a surprise, a modest room, prepared just for her. Inside, Stella was already waiting. The two women stared at each other. There were no insults this time. "I'm sorry," Chioma whispered. "I am too," Stella replied. They embraced, sobbing. Two women once blinded by love and pride, now reunited by pain and growth. As they held each other, a new letter arrived at the gate. It bore the palace seal. Chioma's hand trembled as she opened it. Her eyes widened. "You might want to sit down for this," she told Stella. Chioma's hands shook as she held the letter. The palace seal gleamed in gold under the morning sun. Stella leaned forward. "What is it?" Chioma read aloud. "You are hereby requested to appear before the Royal Council concerning the investigation of Prince Simeon's treason. Your presence is critical. His Highness, King Odion." Stella's heart pounded. Treason. "But I thought—" "Wait," Chioma said, breath-catching. They found out. At the palace, the atmosphere was tense. Drums beat slowly in the distance as guards escorted Chioma inside. King Odion, now frail but alert, sat on the royal chair, surrounded by elders and guards. Beside him stood Simeon, no longer in royal robes, but bound in chains. Chioma's eyes met his. For a second, she saw the boyish charm that once fooled her. But it was gone, replaced by fear. "Chioma," the king said. "You were wrong. My son plotted to kill me and used you as his shield. I apologize, on behalf of this throne." Tears filled her eyes. Simeon spoke through clenched teeth. She was in love with the idea of being queen. "Don't act innocent, Chioma." But the chief guard interrupted. "Silence, traitor." The king ordered Simeon to be banished from the kingdom. As he was dragged away, Chioma turned her head. Not in hate, but in pity. Outside the palace, Stella waited anxiously. When Chioma appeared, Stella rushed to her, hugging her tightly. "What happened?" "He's gone. Banished." Stella closed her eyes, whispering, "Then maybe we can finally heal." Later that evening, Stella sat with Richard and Anita, her voice low and steady. "I lost a child," she said, tears streaming down her face. "Not just from my womb, but from my heart. I lost myself." Anita reached out and gently took her hand. "But you're here now. That means you're stronger than your past." Richard looked at his daughter with pride. "Forgiveness isn't weakness. It's the first step to peace." Days passed, then weeks. Chioma and Stella began building a small trade shop beside the road, selling handmade crafts, palm oil, and groundnuts. They laughed again. Not like before, fake and loud, but genuine laughter born from peace. One day, a woman passed their shop, carrying a baby on her back. She paused and said, "So, the village champions now sell groundnuts?" Chioma smiled. "Yes, auntie. Would you like roasted or fresh?" The woman blinked, then laughed. "Roasted, please." Stella handed her the bag, and they both watched the woman walk away. You think we'll ever forget what we've done? Stella asked. Chioma looked toward the road. No. But maybe, we'll forgive ourselves. As the sun set that evening, the two women sat outside their shop, watching children play and birds fly across the sky. Funny how the very things we chased, money, love, power, nearly destroyed us, Stella said. Chioma nodded slowly. We wanted validation. To feel important. But we lost our way. Stella smiled faintly. Now I know, your worth doesn't come from who loves you or how much you own. It comes from how you treat others, and how you heal. Chioma added, and pride can disguise itself as strength. But real strength is in humility. In starting over. Moral lesson. Pride and ambition without wisdom can lead to destruction. But no matter how far we fall, redemption is always possible when we face the truth, forgive ourselves, and choose a better path. Thank you for watching till the end. Don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe to this channel for more interesting videos like this.